Have you ever wondered whether the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment, and acted from that place?
Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your hosts Brian Berneman and Kayla Greenville, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world.
We are here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers.
From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I have the pleasure to be here joined all the way from the US by Mabel Katz. Thank you, Mabel, so much for being here and for taking the time to share some of your amazing story and amazing work that you're doing in the world. And for everyone that is listening to us, can you share, Mabel, a little bit of who are you? What has happening in your life so far?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brian, for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here and sharing with you. Well, Mabel Katz, who am I is the most important question in creation. Yes. So even when I'm going to tell you who I think I am, that's not. But anyway, I was born in Argentina. I've been living in Los Angeles for the last 39 years. And I woke up here in US. I woke up, it's the way I call it, yes, that I started my journey or my path searching for happiness. I realized I was not happy. I have 2 university degrees in Argentina, CPA, license in business administration. And I was a very successful accountant, both in Argentina and here in Los Angeles. But one day I realized I was not happy and I decided to start my search. So spirituality showed up in my life. We are all, a lot of things come your way. And then when Ho'oponopono, this very ancient Hawaiian art of problem solving, came to my life, I realized that's what I was looking for.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as a fellow Argentinian, it's a pleasure to be here talking with you. And it's very interesting how you just shared that you woke up, and I think not only it's happening more and more, but you've been doing this for longer than me, and it's kind of like the same message all of the time to people. It's like, wake up. One of the biggest I have just behind the screen here, I have a poster of one of the Tibetan Buddhist tankas or images that is the one that is called the Wheel of Life, and it's this being holding this wheel of life. And my teacher used to say there's this being holding this mirror trying to wake you up, and I think that is what we are trying to do, and for some people it's this big awakening, and for some people it's stages and stages. So could you share what was there for you, like a specific moment or something that allowed you to do that?
Yes, I actually was a very frustrated and unhappy person. Again, I was looking for happiness in the material things, the titles, the husband, kids, the house, the car, and you think that will make you happy. And one day you realize you are not. And in my case was because my oldest son talked to me the way I used to talk to him, angry. Mm-hmm. And he was like a mirror to me. I said, that's me. And in that, I will never I don't have any clue what he told me. I just remember his face and the conversation that I had with myself. Yes, I said, that's me. He learned that from me. I know how that feels. Mabel, you have to do something. Yes, because here is my son that I love so much, and I realized I was hurting him. Yes. So that's really my, I always tell people, don't wait to touch bottom, to start your search. Yes. Start now, because everything that we are looking for is in the spiritual. We waste we waste our life. Yes, many times. At least that's what I felt. I woke up almost at 40. And I always said, how come I didn't wake up before? My life would have been so different. And I always advise, I love to talk to young people, and tell them, you can be happy now, don't wait, and don't listen to us because we don't know anything.
Yes, that's so true. I shared always the same message to everyone: don't wait until you hit rock bottom to make changes in your life. And I think that there's something, and you speak about this a lot, and it's something that for me is so important, about self-responsibility, about being in a sense the masters of our own life, and understanding that we have the power, and we a lot of times haven't been shown or told that that's the case, or we have been put down, yet we all have that. So as you're saying, like, how different will our lives, and like I'm lucky that I've been able to do this since I was a teenager. So in a sense, like I had my parents to thank for this, but I know that like people are not. So it's amazing that you're doing as well this work with all of the kids. But before we get in a little bit further into this, I would love to know, so you said your kid showed you this mirror and you had realization of, I need some change here, and you took responsibility. Exactly. What did you do then?
Well, to be honest with you, the universe did it. Because the universe started, I didn't know, yes, but suddenly I opened a magazine that used to come free in the mail every week, and I would never open, or I would open to look for things to learn. Like, I'm talking to you about the times that computers started, internet, Word, Excel, so, and I was an accountant, so I was looking for that kind of courses. I never went to the spiritual or personal development or anything. So, so the universe was the one guiding me. I think that life is about making decisions. So depends on your decisions, then you have the support, yes, especially if you are going to go on your own path, or you are searching, the universe will show you. So I cannot tell you anything dramatic that happened to me, but the universe started taking me places. Like I always tell people, two things that were, I think, the most important ones. The first thing that I found in that magazine was a course about anger. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm gonna go and see, what anger is, yes, where it's coming from. And it ended up being a metaphysical teacher. That at the end of the class, he says, I put groups together in my house. If you are interested, sign up here. Mm-hmm. I left my name. He didn't call me for some time or a long time, but thank God, because I wasn't ready. Can you imagine? I couldn't have just dive into the spiritual. I was not ready. So he took some time. By the time that he called me, a friend of mine had given me Connie Mendes for a 4 en 1, 4-in-1 book. So I was already, trying the recipes, like she called her, like she called her ways of showing us the power of our mind, what you mentioned. And then I would go to a yoga class, and for the first time I hear the word visualization, and I visualize something, and the same afternoon that happens. So I started wondering, so it was the universe showing me, really waking me up, because I was ready, or because I made a decision, yes, that I wanted to look for happiness. So those kind of things are the ones that made me realize and also wonder. It could be that we are so powerful that whatever we can imagine, or think, we can manifest. So that was a big thing for me. And 100% responsibility is all the basic of Ho'oponopono. And 100% responsibility made me free, because one day I said, oh, I created it, I can change it. Otherwise you are codependent of things or people, or depending on things to change outside of yourself. And that's when we feel so impotent and so unhappy.
Yes, yes, definitely. And so you started to do this and you started to inquire about yourself. You started to inquire on these different pathways. And I love that because it's it's the same for me, the universe showing, different things. And if I am ready and if I choose to, then I can see that and I can use the momentum of the energies to actually do that. And so how did you come into Ho'oponopono?
Okay, so one thing took me to the next. Again, it was like a path, yes? And one of the things that I did that helped me a lot was rebirthing. And I found out about Ho'oponopono through rebirthing, but it's not like I resonated and I heard that name and I ran, it was also kind of a process. But one of the things that I noticed in rebirthing, it was that there was a lot of drama. It was about finding out who did something to me that I could blame now for, somebody to find somebody to blame. For all my problems. So it wasn't about 100% responsibility. Somehow, I'm not saying 100%, but anyway, I met at one of the rebirthing trainings, I met the person that used to organize and promote my teachers, who it became my teacher, Dr. Ihalia Kalahulen. And I decided to go and take the training in Omaha, Nebraska, imagine. So, because some people feel that I live in Hawaii for I don't know how many years to get the training. And no, I got the training all over the world with my teacher, yes. Even he moved to California, so, so anyway, it wasn't really my first training in Ho'oponopono, because the thing I didn't buy about the drama that I was telling you, as I said, there has to be an easier and faster way. I didn't buy into that. I really have to go and relieve and suffer and cry. I said there has to be an easier and faster way. And again, it wasn't my very first training, but definitely there was something there for me, or a part of me that knew, because in that first training that I took, I did invited Dr. Ihaliakala to come to Los Angeles that I would organize and promote the seminar. So there was a part of me that knew. And I kept taking the training, every time I could. And I sat and I listened, I re-listened, it's like reprogramming, yes, especially our subconscious mind. So, and one day I said, oh, wow, this is what I was looking for. Yeah. And it was about the 100% responsibility, because I said, hey, I can change it. That kind of, it was like recovering my power, somehow.
Yes, definitely. And I love that, because I work a lot with people with energy and like I use all of these different holistic therapies like Reiki or family constellations, and a lot of times some of my clients are like, well, tell me, and I'm like, why do we need the story? Why can't we just, it's like, well, that happened, there's this energy, now it's integrated, now let's move forward. And it's something that a lot of times, I think that, yes, we are in a society that we've been taught to use our heads too much.
Yeah.
And sometimes
until talk about your problems and find people that feel sorry for you.
Yes, and it's like we want to understand everything, and we want to, as you're saying, like why do I have to relive everything? Why can't I just, it's like healed, integrated, moving on? And
Brian, with the times that we are living right now, it's so important to move on. Let's move on.
Yes,
let go of the past and move on.
Definitely. So for me, for example, like I know about Ho'oponopono, and I know about the power of Ho'oponopono, but perhaps there's some of our audience that doesn't know. Can you explain a little bit what is Ho'oponopono and how does it work?
Yes. So again, Ho'oponopono is described by an art of problem solving, a Hawaiian ancestral, art of problem solving. For me, I always say it's like a philosophy of life, of how you see the problems. So we see problems as opportunities. We see problems as memories replaying in our subconscious mind. So even when you are trying to analyze or to know, you don't know anything because it's just a memory, most of them from past lives, things that we are coming to correct. The word Ho'oponopono means how to correct an error, how to make amends, okay? So we are here to erase. We are here to correct, we are here to erase. So Ho'oponopono is about becoming a little bit, responsible, but also a little bit more humble, like we don't know. Yes, and accepting that everything is perfect, even if it doesn't look like. So that doesn't mean you do Ho'oponopono not to have problems. You do it to be at peace, even if you have problems, because problems help you to learn, to correct. There are opportunities for you to become better, a better person. So, and that's why we came. That's why we chose to come, yes? So the idea is that you can always choose to be at peace, or choose not to react, or not to have that need of the last word or being right. You understand what I mean? So you are kind of choosing happiness and peace moment by moment, or setting yourself free moment by moment. There are times that is easier than others. We still engage many times. We cannot keep our mouth shut all the time, but we do the best we can because we know it works.
Yes, and I love that, because that's as the taking self-responsibility and to be able to understand how it is that we have been conditioned, that a lot of times we are reacting instead of responding to life. Like I make a huge distinction between that, and
Yes.
it's like,
Yes.
I can be completely on autopilot. I can be completely unconscious of my behavior, or
Sure.
regardless of my circumstances, whether they are super challenging or not, I can understand, okay, how do I want to show up? How do I want to respond to what's there? Because yes, there's things that are out of my control, and how I live through that or with that, it's more important than the actual thing that is happening. And as you're saying, it's not about this is happening and I'm the victim of this. It's like, well, this is happening, how do I want to be in relationship to that?
Well, they say responsible is response-able. Able to respond. But like you said, we are completely automatic, and that brings more things to erase, and it doesn't solve problems, really, so it brings more problems. So this is about, hey, there is a blessing behind every problem, even if it doesn't look like, and everything is perfect, even if it doesn't look like, because the universe knows what is right for you. What is best. Is giving you opportunities. Yes, that is what you came for. Yes. So, but then we forgot.
And I have used a little bit of Ho'oponopono in my life, and I wanted to ask you about the power of that forgiveness and the power of gratitude. That is, for me, at least in my very limited knowledge of it, that's a big part of it. Yes. Can you expand a little bit on that?
It is all kind of included in the way we do it. So I'm gonna clear this. First of all, I'm gonna tell you what forgiveness and gratitude did for me, and then I will explain it on the Ho'oponopono side. First of all, my life changed when I realized of many things. Yes, one is that you forgive because you don't want to hurt yourself anymore. You are not hurting the other person, you are hurting yourself. So again, that's a way of letting go and setting yourself free. Yes, and not living in that past. Now, gratitude, very important because it changes completely your frequency. Yes, we are always concentrating on what we don't have or we think we need instead of being grateful for what we have. And then the universe sends you more. Yeah, you become like a magnet, yes, of good things. Like, I think people that are grateful or even happy, yes, they look like they are lucky that things come to them. Yeah, but it's like you are a channel, you are allowing for that to happen. Otherwise, you are always blocking everything because you are thinking, because you are complaining, blaming, etc. Now, from the Ho'oponopono side, yes, it's definitely repentance, I'm sorry, the forgiveness, please forgive me. But I want to also clear that even though the Ho'oponopono becomes famous for 4 phrases, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you, though those were replaced, but just thank you and just I love you without even feeling it, but repeating it like a parrot in your mind, just to stop your conversations, the stories and those things that takes you to the past or worry about the future. Okay, now really in Ho'oponopono we don't have to feel the thank you or the I love you because they are like passcodes. Yeah, so it's not like when you press the delete key in the computer you have to feel erasing. You just press the key. Yeah, and that's what we do. So once divinity told my teacher Ihaliakala, just tell them to say thank you. I know what they mean, like let's do it, guys. Yes, just say thank you. Now, Ho'oponopono is 100% responsibility. I'm sorry, please forgive me for whatever is in me that created this. Not because I'm a bad person, I'm not a sinner, nothing. It's because the universe is giving me the opportunity because there is something in me that is attracting that. So that 100% responsibility, very important. Again, not blaming or it's not guilt, okay? Completely different because this will set you free. Yes, but knowing that there is something in your subconscious mind, is like a program, yes, that is being downloaded. So no matter what you do to your computer, if you don't have the program downloaded, it will not work. So this is like having that consciousness that everything that shows up in your life has to do with you. Yes, it's not that the universe is conspiring against you, but it's always, like we said before, an opportunity to let go and allow God to transmute. We are not the ones, even though I'm working on this, we never know what it is, like I said, because they are memories. So it is about letting go and allowing a part of us that knows better.
Yes, definitely. And I love that because there's so many things that you just mentioned that I think that it's important for us to recognize at these times. That is, let's not get caught up in the stories. Let's just press that delete and move forward.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
like a lot of times, and I'm a very feeling person. I feel. And for me, one of the ways is like, yeah, I feel it, but it's not about getting caught up with the story. It's about feeling, so I can move forward from that.
Learn from them. From them.
Yeah, it's like, and one of my teachers is to tell me, every single moment you get a new opportunity, a new chance.
Exactly.
I wasn't conscious or I wasn't doing it. It's like, well, now you have a new chance. Like, choose again. What kind of life do you want to choose at every single moment? And I love that you use the word free, because that is one of the things that I believe that a lot of us in this society have been brought up to find this success, as you mentioned, that like having the family, the house, the husband, everything. And for me, it's like, yes, we can have that. It's not that that's bad.
Yeah.
What's, are we free? Do we have that sense of freedom? And and how to get there, because I think a lot of times there's a lot of people that I talk to, you know, I talk a lot about stress, for example, with my students, and a lot of times it's like, well, how can I manage? And it's like, no, how can I be free of it?
Exactly. How you can set yourself free is, again, is choosing, like you said, moment by moment, freedom, happiness. For example, I still live a good life materially, yes, but I could have more if I want to, but I don't need it. Yes, I mean, there is a limit for everything. I mean, how much do you really need to be happy? Yes, but the thing is not to put it first. You understand what I mean? Before it was depending on having all that to be happy. Now I can be happy and I don't need as much. Yes, or I don't depend on having in order to be happy. Yes. So that in itself, it sets you free too.
Yes, and I, you know, when I started to make the changes to be abundant, every time that I need something, that comes, and it's that it's like it's being in this feeling or this field that is the universe, that there's like abundance, and I am abundant. Yes, and then things will come. The right things will come at the right time.
There is one more thing, Brian, that I want to be sure that I mention about this because it's important. One of the things that, first of all, a lot of things convinced me about Ho'oponopono because at that time I was an accountant. The way I always work as an employee on CPA offices. Then suddenly I formed my own company. You know, I start my own company because of Ho'oponopono, because of trusting. Yeah. So one of the things I think is very important also to mention is I started practicing trusting myself. Yeah, or accepting myself just the way I was, you know, with my weaknesses and my strength. Yeah, and that I didn't have to be perfect. That is also a big one for all of us. Yes, that perfection or that comparison with others, you know, when you know that you are unique, and then you come, you know, to gather people that helps you because they have other talents that you don't have or whatever. So trusting ourselves, you know, very important. But this is, and again, because of starting my own company through Ho'oponopono and how clients would come, I would represent them before the IRS here, that is the tax entity in US, and the results, I couldn't even believe the results that I got from those audits for my clients. So the thing is that one of the things that convinced me, or that when I started really seeing the results, was when I let go of expectations. If you do things, if you trust that the universe is perfect, that is conspiring for you, you know, in your benefit, not, you know, it's not against you. And you allow it and go with the flow, like we were talking about, you will not believe your life. So one day I went to my teacher and I said, I clean, but it doesn't work, you know, but I was there paying to take the training again. Yes. And first he didn't say anything, but then he came back, he looked into my eyes and he said, no expectations. And since that day, Brian, it's not like I don't have any more expectations, but if you are conscious and you realize, you also say thank you to the expectations, and then you won't believe your life.
I love that trusting that the universe is conspiring for you, and that everything, you know, like it's perfect as it is. Yes. Even though my head might not understand it, even though, as you're saying, my head every once in a while is like, expectations or thoughts about that, and it's like, well, coming back, let's stay here and let's go with what is there. And for people that perhaps, you know, like are thinking, because I get this a lot of times, you know, it's like, this, you know, energy or all of this it seems really simple,
too easy.
Yes, and a lot of times, you know, like I'm like, well, like, do you want harder?
Yeah. My teacher used to say, I don't know how to complicate it, so you will leave me. You know that it works. I always say God is easy. We complicated things. Yes. And this is working directly with divinity, whatever you understand it, because you, from the intellectual part, understand it like another radio, a different radio that, where it comes the right solutions, the inspiration, and we all have it, but we are always listening to this one. That's the thing. So whatever, works for you, but simple works. Simple works. I was looking, that's why I call it the easiest way, because I said, I found it.
Definitely. So you have as well written books the easiest way. You have multiple books. You do seminars. You do like a lot of work with businesses, with people, and as well with kids. And I wanted to bring it to that aspect, because kids are the future. and
yes. Yes.
As we were talking at the beginning, the earlier that we can learn this, the earlier that we can get into, this, even just understanding, life can be easy in a sense. What's the easiest way instead of complicating everything? Is there something that in your experience, is there a difference of how you approach and how you work with kids than adults?
Well, it's much easier, because they are a little bit less programmed and they can relate. When you talk to them about this, they get it, but like we were saying, adults will question, will not believe, but even parents, when they tell me, so how do I tell my kids? And I said, your kids don't need you to tell them, they know already. So for example, I wrote the easiest videos, all the strange stories that I heard from my teacher that had this ability of seeing and hearing things that I couldn't see or hear. Those stories changed my life, and all the things that I realized, that really, I said, oh my goodness, I wish I knew this. And then I wrote Malugia, the Happy City, that is how this city, is so happy, and the kids take the tourists around, showing them, but talking about the basics of, of this philosophy of Ho'oponopono, how they live, what they believe, etc., etc. Brian, is very important that we get to children, that we get to adolescents, because if it was difficult for us, and you are much younger than me, but you knew a different kind of life, yes? And now we know that we were programmed very well, yes? And that we are trying to unlearn to be able to relearn. I think that right now, the situation around the world with the kids is terrible. I mean, the programming is really, really, really bad. Yes. So I think it is our responsibility to bring these spiritual aspects, or ways of thinking or things like that. I think it's very important. I've been, in my last seminars, this been coming up, and I've been sharing, and I tell parents, I know it's hard to have them at home, and I understand. I was a mother, and I know how much we wanted them in front of the TV for a while, or sending them to school, and I understand. But right now, I think schools is the last place you want to have your kids right now. So I think at least giving them a good foundation, the spiritual foundation. Be sure that you give them, and that they don't waste their time or their life like we did, that they don't look in the wrong places.
Yeah, and I think that I work with younger people, well, especially like here and teaching at university, and I see the state that a lot of these younger people are, and I'm like, there's
it hurts.
We need to change. And as well, one of the things that I tell a lot of the adults that I work with is that if you take responsibility for yourself, then you're modeling and showing your kids what it's like to actually do the work. And I think that I always come back to that self-responsibility, because I believe that working with myself, I am, like creating this ripple effect with everyone else. And
I agree. I always tell parents, you just have to be a happy parent. That's all your kids need, a happy parent. If you are teaching, you can make a great difference just giving them these points or things that they will never forget, even if they don't apply it right now. But believe me, one day they will remember, So I remember in Colombia once, a university professor said, I cannot tell these things to my students. They will tell the dean, and I will be fired. I said, listen, believe me, you will be able to do much better. They will always remember you, because if you help somebody to feel good, or for example, in Chile, once in a school, when I presented, they said, oh, but we need to follow a curriculum. And I said, listen, if you do this at least half an hour every day or something, and you empower the kids and they feel good with themselves, believe me, you will be able to do the curriculum much easier and faster. Yes, because the kids will cooperate, because the kids will feel good with themselves. So I think it didn't work when we went to school, but I think now it's even worse. But the idea is that we can help them to trust themselves, to believe in themselves, to know that they are unique, that they don't have to be perfect, no comparing with others. I mean, so many things it really hurt us so much.
Definitely. And I see there's, at least here in New Zealand or in certain areas, there's a few like schools that are more based on nature, are more based on allowing the kids to explore there's it's not the mainstream curriculum, so that there's more freedom,
or at least look for that.
And as you're saying, most people, when you ask them later on as adults about their school days, the teachers that they remember are the ones that actually saw them as an individual, as a person, not just as a number, and they need to teach something.
Or comparing them with others, or the thing. I always said that, I'm sure you remember in Argentina, we all have to have all tens, in everything. And I said, only somebody that can manipulate a system could do it. Because how could we be good at everything? But now when you feel good, let's say you are good in math, yes, and you're good and you feel good, you're gonna do geography or history or language or whatever, but you will go through it, but not with that pressure, because that's not your thing. That's not you.
Yes, and how wonderful when we can share this with kids, so they can grow up already with this, instead of having, as you're saying, to unlearn and relearn everything. That's what we are doing a lot. So I would love to explore this much further, but I just know that we're getting towards the end of this conversation. Mabel, what's one thing, and perhaps you already have said this, what's one thing that you would wish everyone in the world knew?
That we can change our life without depending on anybody or anything outside ourselves. I think that made a big difference in my life. When I realized, hey, I can change it. I realized that only when we change, everything changes. So it's not about waiting for things to change or anything. It's just you believing in yourself, and you create your own reality. I mean, it's parallel. During the pandemic, I was able to still travel. We did several spiritual journeys in different parts of the world or something. So that means that we create our own reality. And suddenly you can be in your own bubble, or living, a parallel reality. I think there are many parallel realities, and you have to choose. You have to choose. And being able to, right now, I think it's time to question everything, not just go like ships, this is, what they're saying we have to do. Question things. and follow more your heart or whatever part you trust, and instead of, but not your mind. So again, you can keep thinking, you can keep engaging emotionally, but those are the cases where you are alone, and it's difficult. When you let go, actually things become much easier, and suddenly solutions come from places you never expected, etc.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And yes, as we've been talking, this taking self-responsibility, being able to be the author of our own life stories. I think that's so important to be able to engage in that way. So Mabel, for everybody that is resonating with what you're sharing and would like to know more, where can they find you and engage with you?
Well, my social media, I'm very active there, YouTube channel and Instagram, except Facebook, where is Mabel Katz fan page, but otherwise everywhere under my name, Mabel Katz. And for people that maybe wants to know a little bit more before diving in, I do have a free video course of Ho'oponopono Basic. So if they go to mabelkatz.com, they will go to resources and you will find a lot of resources there.
Yeah, beautiful. And I will put all of the links on the show notes so that everybody can find it easy.
And I will be presenting in English with translation, but in Croatia, in Serbia, maybe you guys want to come and join Las Vegas next week. So
Beautiful, beautiful. So I hope if you're listening and you're resonating, go and check out those resources. See where Mabel is, if she's near you, or if you want to travel there, go and check it out. So thank you, Mabel, so much for taking Brian, the time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And
thank you for the opportunity.
And for sharing everything that you're doing. I think that this is, like how we are going to get not only for ourselves but for everyone to the place that we want. So
we have to do it for the next generations. It's our responsibility. Yes.
Thank you,
Brian.
And thank you, everyone.
Many
listening.
Blessings to you and your work.
Thank you as well. Thank you for everyone listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using #ConsciousAction and tagging @ConsciousActionNZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.